gives him this guitar, and the guitar is actually made from the true holy cross that Christ was crucified on. And they took the spikes and shit that the Romans nailed through him and made like all the frets and all this stuff, right? And he has to play this one guitar to bring this song to life. And then when all hell literally breaks loose, he grabs the God guitar,
freaking Jesus guitar.
It becomes this channel, and puts everything back down in its hole.
Jeremy, how we doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well.
Great.
Jeremy, this is Darius Giles. You can see, I guess their names are on it. And Ben Salazar. Darius is the co-host.
Hi,
Ben
Darius and Ben. Hello. Nice to meet you.
And this is Jeremy Wagner with a new book called Wretch.
Well, we're going to have a couple connection issues. You
got connection issues on your part, Darius?
Yeah. Are you guys not getting that?
No.
I'm not.
I see you guys all good. Hear you all good.
Okay, I'll fix it.
Classic Darius, just ruining the podcast. Real quick before we get going officially, is this? I'm trying to remember what the email said. Is Wretch your debut, or you have some others out as well?
No, I have others out. I have 2 previous novels, The Armageddon Chord and Rabid Heart, and then last year I went into dipped my toes in nonfiction territory. So I wrote a memoir for a really famous chef named Curtis Duffy. It was called Fireproof Memoir of a Chef, and it's been my biggest book to date. It was like USA Today bestseller 2 weeks in a row, and New York Times did a 3-page spread on it and whatnot. So I wrote the whole thing and told Curtis's story, and I only write what I'm into. So the reason I wrote that, it's never for money, it's the passion, the craft. That's what I'm all about. I do it if I wasn't published, right? Say with music and stuff. And his Curtis Duffy story is so insane and he's a good friend of mine. And when he approached me to do it, the more I learned, I'm like, I'm in. But you got to be brutally honest, because I don't want to write something that's going to be boring fluff piece,
Yeah.
I've read a lot of memoirs like that. So anyway, that book did really well. In fact, I'll give you all one of the best blurbs we got that sums up Fireproof. It's from a best-selling author named Peter Blauner, and he said, Fireproof Memoir of a Chef is like Sons of Anarchy meets Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, because this guy grew up in a Hells Angels biker house. His dad was a leader of a bike gang, and then his parents died in murder-suicide in this crazy standoff with SWAT teams and stuff, and on and on and on. So that was my last book. So Wretch is me back in what I love doing primarily, which is dark fiction.
Yeah.
So, and this one is, I'd say, kind of a mashup of genres, like splatterpunk horror and dark crime.
Okay. Sweet, man.
Yeah. It takes place in Chicago. So
dude,
let's go. That's where I'm from, Chicago.
Are you in Chicago?
Half the year here. I'm in Miami Beach right now. I do the snowboard thing. I always say I was born in the wrong climate.
Yeah. Well, I feel like everybody in Chicago was born in the wrong climate.
There's some.
I don't think we're supposed to be here.
There's some sick people who love that cold. I don't know what it is. My stepson is one of them. He loves it cold. He's like, comes to visit Miami Beach. He's like, I'm melting. It's so hot here.
Yeah, Florida's
he'll wear a T-shirt out to go to the grocery store.
Florida's the other extreme. It is too warm. I lived in Chicago for 4 years. I really, really love that town.
Where are y'all from? Where are y'all based out of? Different states?
We're all in Washington State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Couple. Ben and I are in Yakima, Washington, And then Darius is in Enumclaw, which is a stone's throw away from Seattle.
Okay, cool.
So
I got a couple friends that live in Washington. Chris Barnes, of the band 6 Feet Under, formerly Cannibal Corpse singer.
Yeah.
Was in Washington, and another friend of mine. It's actually one of my good friends' moms. She was born and raised there, lived in Miami, ran a recording studio here, retired, and moved back to Washington. Can't remember what town it is though. It's not Seattle. It's a different town. But and I've been to Washington probably half a dozen times on tour.
You look like you're from Seattle.
Well, I was gonna say you would fit right into the Seattle scene.
I played concerts there with my band Broken Hope over the years and stuff.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask. You said your friend is the lead singer for 6 Feet Under. You've done some recording. You've done some music. Were you big into the Chicago music scene when you were?
Oh yeah,
coming up.
Yeah, the Chicago music scene's always been super vibrant and healthy since I was a kid, and then there's so many great bands and musicians that came out of Chicago. Like the town I live in, the burbs, and Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins lives down east from Chicago. Smashing Pumpkins are Chicago band. Ministry, and then just tons of other bands, metal and otherwise, genre-wise.
So was there a time when you were younger or at any point in life when you were like, hey, I want to do full-time music. I want to gig around. I want to tour.
Oh,
was
God,
there a season of that?
Yeah, since I was a teenager in high school. And if I had a few garage bands, and then when I formed Broken Hope, I'm like, that's what I want to do. And then right after high school, we ended up getting a record deal.
Wow.
And so when I'll be 56 in August. So back in my 20s.
I was going to guess like 42.
Thank you.
The Rapunzel hair keeps you young.
Jeans and the hair, So you could throw me in a van, Darius, or a Ford Pinto in my 20s. I would have done a tour for 10 months straight that way. Now it's like I'm over the touring for months at a time.
So with Broken Hope, you said you guys got a record deal right out of high school. So then how did that go? How long did that last? What was that like?
Broken Hope's still going.
That's awesome.
We formed in 1988 when I was a teenager, and then first album came out in 91, and we've got about 8 albums, I think, in our catalog between studio albums and one live album. And so Broken Hope's still going, and our catalog is going to be re-released sometime maybe this year, remastered.
That's cool.
And then I've got another band called Earthburner, which is more of like a grindcore type of band, death grind, I guess you'd call it. And that album came out just over a year ago, our first album, Permanent Dawn. But again, with the music, I'm just performing and everything. I just pick and choose my battles.
Sure.
I primarily write full time and whatnot is film stuff and.
So this is a good spot to kind of come in. That was all brilliant stuff. We're just going to keep it in the recording, and we just say we've started. And this is our special guest, Jeremy Wagner. Got a new book coming out this week, right? February 24th,
I believe.
24th. So this will come out on the 15th. So February 24th. Put a link in the bio, but we were kind of chatting about unique storytelling before you jumped on, and we were chatting about the Super Bowl halftime show. So as a professional musician, like what was did you watch the halftime show? What was
I didn't. And a doctor friend of mine asked me this last week if I watched the halftime show, and I didn't have a chance to. I'm in the middle of a move right now. So, and honestly, I'm not the biggest sports fan either. So I don't usually watch the Super Bowl. I have watched halftime shows just to see who's playing and whatnot. But
I was going to say
this year I missed. I don't understand. It was Bad Bunny, right? Did a performance, and I saw my name in a lot of feeds popping up about the halftime show and stuff.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, and it was awesome. But like, what? We all enjoyed it. What is your take from, as a professional writer, right, and storyteller? What is it like when you do a show? Are you looking at a concert as like a storytelling opportunity? Are you just like, hey, let's get on stage and thrash for an hour, or like what's your approach in storytelling for being on stage?
There's similarities with music and writing. Like doing the first draft of, say, a novel for me typically takes 3 months. And when writing an album, if I'm really inspired and the riffs are flowing, I can write the music for an album within a couple of months. And then I've always been the primary lyricist as well. So I write all the lyrics. I don't sing or anything. So, an album's got 10 to 11 tracks, 12 tracks or something. And, that's like, for me, it's like writing 10 or 12 micro horror fiction stories.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And then it's the same approach, whether it's music or writing lyrics and novels. It's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Both take time between writing an album and recording it. Same with the book. First draft. Like I said, if I'm really going to town, we'll be done in 3 months.
Right.
I'll jump into another book to let that draft cool off. Do first draft of another book. Jump back into the previous one. So both are time consuming. And working on doing something original and new and evolving and maintaining that voice, the voice being the voice I have to the readers and the voice or tone, if you will, that the band has. Like if you hear it, it's Broken Hope. When you hear a Rolling Stones song or whatever,
sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's always paramount to evolve, deliver something new, but also on brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, you were chatting about you've done nonfiction, which was a crazy story, and then music, and now you've got a new novel out. Hit us with the titles of your previous novels, and you said they're like dark fiction.
Yeah. Yep. The first, I've always been a writer since I was a kid, and I was always writing short stories and whatnot. And as I mentioned, I write all the lyrics for Broken Hope since we've been around, and I love writing. Period. And with what I'm doing now with getting published, like in the '90s, I got my first paid publishing gig before the novels I mentioned for some music mags. So I did interview bands, write up a feature, and I got published that way. There used to be a big rock magazine back in the day called Rip Magazine. So that was my first paid publishing gig. I interviewed this band Morbid Angel and got a check, and back when I got that check, I thought I hit the lottery because it was like $300, and I didn't have a pot to piss in.
I was gonna say, we're set, man. $300.
And then also,
it feels like cheating too when you get paid to do something that you love doing. You're like, I cheated the world, like I tricked everyone. I'm like,
wow, I couldn't believe it. And the other thing that I couldn't believe was the signature on the check. I photocopied the check. I know I got that somewhere here from like 1995, but it was Larry Flint from Hustler magazine. Infamous Larry Flint signed the check, and I found out Rip magazine and like 1,000 other different magazines, outdoor mags, 4x4 truck mags, beauty mags are all under LFP, Larry Flint publication. So RIP was a Larry Flint publication. So I'm like, I was 24 or 25, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I got $300 from
You're
Larry
like, what did I
Flint.
write this article for?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The guys
So
didn't look like they were adult actors.
Yeah, it doesn't, jive with morbid age. What's going on here? You know? So that was my first paid writing gig, but my first like published fiction piece was in an anthology called Hungry for Your Love. And it was like a zombie themed
That's right.
anthology with a romance twist. So I wrote a short story for that, and they bought that. And right after that came out, it was published. I got my first real book deal for my first novel, The Armageddon Chord. And then after The Armageddon Chord came out, I published some more short stories and anthologies and stuff, and was working on my second novel that came out, Rabbit Heart. And then the nonfiction book I mentioned to you guys was Fireproof Memoir of a Chef, about Chef Curtis Duffy's life. He's a famous Michelin star chef from Chicago, who's had an incredibly wild and an inspiring journey, and it's really fun to write that. And then hot off the heels of Fireproof is my new novel, Wretch, and in between Fireproof, Wretch, and even Rabbit Heart. I also have a production company, so I've been writing and producing original content. We've got two documentaries coming out probably later this year. I got paid to create and write a TV series, so I'm doing the screenplay script thing too, which is kind of like doing nonfiction. It's a different animal than writing fiction, like one of my splatterpunk horror dark crime novels. It's a different style, different way of doing things, and I like that because it broadens my skills as a writer. But
So is that your first?
never a dull moment. I'm always writing.
Yeah, no joke.
Did you say you got hired to do the film series or the TV series?
Yes, another production company approached my production company, Aphotic Media. That's the name of my company, and they heard we were doing great things and whatnot. And the owner of this other production company had a stable of writers, and they were doing really popular like dramedies that were really big in I think the UK, South Africa, and also in Latin America. But the owner of that company, the CEOs, the writers, didn't have the same mindset as that CEO. The CEO is actually into dark and effed up stuff and original stuff. So my partner at the production studio, not that we pump out dark effed up stuff, which I write in novels, but we do what we want. We're independent, so it's like we want to do really quality things too.
Yeah.
So anyway, this production company CEO had heard of our company, Photo Media, and the success we had and things that we're doing. And she is into darker types of TV shows, like whether it's Breaking Bad or True Detective and stuff I'm into. We hit it off right away. And she said, look, I'm coming to you because my writers, they're not into writing dark stuff like that. They want to do dramedies, dramas, comedies, the mishmash, the dramedy, and they don't want to go there. And the CEO was like, I'm not really a writer. Would you be interested in this idea I have? And she pitched it to me. I go, yeah, I'd be down to do that. So I said, but I got one other partner at Aphotic, and if you're hiring me, you're hiring him as well. And she actually, my partner's a great, he's been in the film business forever, Frankie. And she said, I actually got this other show I was going to pitch you guys. Would you want to do that Frankie, while Jeremy does this. Frankie said, yeah. So she paid us both. And it just sort of fell in our lap, but it was a really great thing. It's like, wow, this is awesome. Because, we're pumping out our own stuff at our own expense, hoping it'll sell.
Right.
Another
Right.
production company approach us and pitch us, and us taking the job. It was like kind of like a little dream come true, for a moment. So yeah, that was cool.
Was your first book Armageddon Chord? Was that has some music themes in it, or what does Armageddon Chord mean?
So the Armageddon Chord, I always had this idea since I was a teenager. I saw this movie called Crossroads that,
Yeah, with Ralph Macchio.
yes,
Let's go, baby.
So there's another Crossroads
Vai.
that came out.
I was gonna say
later.
Steve Vai guitar battle. Come on.
Yeah, Steve.
And
Steve
then one with Britney Spears. No, I'm just kidding.
Ralph Macchio, right? And years later, this other Crossroads with Britney Spears came out.
Hell
And none
yeah,
of the
man.
guitar playing
Also
are-
great.
I say Crossroads, and people are like, "Oh, the Britney Spears film." I'm like, "No, there's a film older than that, and it's about this blues guitar kid, and he does this guitar battle with the Devil's guitar player." So
Yeah.
that guitar battle that you mentioned, I think Jesse, you're the one who said that. That guitar battle always stuck with me. I mean, I used to watch that movie over and over
That's
and
sick.
over again. So I had this idea in my head, kind of say that's the root cause or the seed that got planted that got me this idea for the Armageddon Chord. The idea I had is, say there's a guitar god like my main character in the book, who is like the most phenomenal guitar player in the world, like Steve Vai, or Segovia or whoever. And like Steve Vai, as a guitar player myself, Steve Vai is one of my favorite guitar players, and he's a genius. And when he was just a kid, like Frank Zappa hired him to join his band and transcribe all that crazy, wild ass Frank Zappa music.
I didn't know that. That's
and he
crazy.
transcribed it all. It was the guitar player. And so he had these amazing skills with music theory, music reading, but also this incredible talent. And after Zappa, I think he did Alcatraz. He's done a bunch of solo stuff, as we all know now. He'd done Whitesnake, David Lee Roth, after Alcatraz, before he went solo. And I've always admired him. So like the main character's name is Kirk Viso. So there you go, right? The big
homage. Yeah.
So I got this idea, like, what if, and that's how all stories with me start with, is what if, right? And I'm like, what if some guitar player got a piece of music or something that was really ancient, and if they transcribed it and played it, it would open the gates to hell. So like, think of the Evil Dead, the Book of the Dead, and playing that record and those recordings that.
And then Tenacious D ripped you off and made a movie about it.
Yeah.
Other efforts.
Pick a Destiny. I know. My book came out before that movie.
No, I believe you. I was just going to say they ripped you off.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, I like this idea. I'm going to work on it. So basically the gist of the Armageddon Chord is, you got this world famous guitar god, and then you got these antagonists, these bad guys, and one of which is a multi-billionaire who will do anything to stay alive because he's dying of bone cancer, and you got this other. This is like straight out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, this twisted, like Nazi type of guy who's all disfigured, who the billionaire guy hires to find things around the world, artifacts and things that he wants for his personal collection. Well, turns out this other evil guy, the Nazi-ish guy, his big discovery is this pyramid that was found buried beneath the sands of Egypt. And it turns out there's this heretic pharaoh, which I based on a real heretic pharaoh called Akhenaten, who came to power in Egypt. And, ancient Egypt would worship multiple gods. But Akhenaten, when he came along, he said, no, all those gods are dead. We're all going to worship the sun, just the sun, And when he died, they tried to erase anything Akhenaten did. So there was a little idea there, right? So they find this pyramid, and there's these crazy hieroglyphics like they've never seen. And they realize these hieroglyphics are music. And it's the key to basically bringing the apocalypse on earth. And anyone who, as it's written, that brings a song to life will receive immortality. So that billionaires dying of bone cancer is like, I want to be immortal. I don't want to die. I'll give you whatever it takes. Find someone to transcribe that so we can play it for the world, because the world has to hear it. It's almost like I'm not a religious guy by any means, but I had to do a lot of research for this book, not just with Egyptian history and religion, but actual your old fashioned Catholic,
right? Like some Catholic stuff,
Bible, right?
Yeah.
So this billionaire guy and his evil sidekick find Kurt Weistow, and he is able to transcribe these hieroglyphics and bring this song to life. And then he finds out what's going on. He's like, if this is true, I can't, some weird shit happens too when he's playing it in his home studio, like shit's blowing up and like he's seeing things. He's like, what the F's going on, right? And he learns that this could bring upon the apocalypse, like the Book of Revelation type of stuff. I'm not doing it. Well, they force him to do it. And spoiler alert, this big concert outside. Like imagine the biggest concerts you've been to outside,
right.
Lollapalooza or right. Whatever, Hellfest in France, you name it. It's like that. You got 100,000 people, and we're going to broadcast the concert via satellite worldwide, and you're going to play this song. So when everyone hears it, the gates of hell will open up and I'll receive immortality. So he is forced to do this song, but this other mysterious guy appears to help him. And it's like this old priestly kind of guy. And he gives him this guitar, and the guitar is actually made from the true holy cross that Christ was crucified on. And they took the spikes and shit that the Romans nailed through him and made all the frets and all this stuff, right? And he has to play this one guitar to bring this song to life. And then when all hell literally breaks loose, he grabs the God guitar,
freaking Jesus guitar.
It becomes this channel, and puts everything back down in its hole. So that's where that idea was in my head for a long time.
Freaking
come a long way since then, but book did pretty good. One blurb I remember from a journalist, Catherine Turman. She wrote a great book, by the way, with this guy, John Wiederhorner's oral history of heavy metal called Louder Than Hell. Really, really great book. She gave me a blurb back then. She's like, the Armageddon Horde is like the Da Vinci Code with a heavy metal soundtrack. So it's kind of one part of what people always tell you as a writer, write what you know, which I did. And then a bunch of it's research. Every book I do has always got a ton of research, and that's fun for me. I love learning stuff and trying to keep things as accurate as I can. So, but that's the Armageddon Horde, basically.
Jesse, I'll stop asking questions.
That's the
curiosity is getting the best of me. So, Jesse, I'll just let you finish asking questions. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. That's awesome.
You guys will find out I take the long way around to get to a point. So,
Hey
You
man, on
interview,
on a podcast, it's
try to keep
great.
it succinct, but
No, you're great.
give your viewers and fans something to listen to.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say you get people who are like, we've interviewed some people before, and it's like a sentence or two, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to fill an hour here, but no
Yeah,
problem.
yes, no answers, and people that are like, I hate doing an interview kind of attitude for readers, viewers, whatever, and even hosts like yourselves. That's not fun, and a lot of people do that. And I'm like, you want to know something? Let's talk.
Yeah. So, okay, hit us with the breakdown of Wretch, your new novel. That Armageddon chord sounds sick.
So yeah, that after the Armageddon chord, it's always been pedal to the metal, just writing, writing, writing. So at this point, Wretch, for me personally, I think it's kind of like when you find your groove, your niche, if you will, right? Like Armageddon chord's a different kind of book. Rabbit Heart, both are dark in their own ways, but they're totally different. Armageddon Court's more of a thriller horror book. Rabbit Heart's horror, but a little deeper level. Sort of like Cormac McCarthy's one of my favorite authors. So Rabbit Heart is horror, but it's got this darkness and a little more deepness. I like to think. I like to have layers in a character. So that was fun to write. Fireproof nonfiction, memoir. Wretch was always in the background. I had been working on drafts of that for a while. And when I got to the final draft and where I was at, when I talked about finding your groove and your niche, I'm like, this is really like what I'm meant to do. I love it. I'm into this kind of stuff, this story. Really couldn't get out of my head. And again, it was a what if thing. So it's one part uh, sort of like Frankenstein meets The Godfather, and it takes place in Chicago. And when I was telling you all, and Darius telling you
You
about
just
where
hit like 5 of
got-
Jesse's special interests in that one sentence.
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah, that's good. What great minds think alike. So I got this idea back again, back when I was younger, where I'm from in the northern boroughs of Chicago. There's a huge pharmaceutical company called Abbott Labs, and they're still there. They're super huge, and they make all kinds of stuff you probably see in stores, pharmacy items to prescription stuff, you name it, they do everything. So back in the day, you could get into a pharmacological research program, be a human guinea pig basically, and get paid a ton of money. And that was at that time, like I was telling you about that check I got from Rip Magazine. I'm like, holy cow, I could get like a couple grand if they keep me for a week in this thing. And if you're getting a placebo or the real thing, but if you get accepted, you got to stay in this like dormant thing for a week and take these pills, and then they set you loose and you get a check. So I got accepted into one of those programs, and that's where I got the idea basically for Wretch. Was like, what if someone did a program like this for a new drug that was never out in the public yet, not FDA approved, and has to go through testing, and something went horribly wrong. So I had that in my head, and basically that evolved into, what if there was a sociopath who's like a 6'5" muscle bound steroid abusing freak who is super violent and hair trigger temper, and he goes into a program like that for an ED drug. So it's like this company is doing a test for this thing called libidinol, which is like,
Where's your libido?
Cialis, and stuff goes horribly wrong. In the meantime, you got the main good guy protagonist, who's a Chicago police detective, And you also have the head of the outfit. And for those who don't know, the outfit is what has always been a nickname for the mafia in Chicago, the outfit. So
They're a very fashion forward group.
yeah. They got this. You got these, these bad guys and one good guy, and the two guys, the head of the outfit, Tico the meat grinder Tortello, and Detective Donnie Lynch. They are looking for that guy, that muscle bound guy I told you about, because he escapes that pharmacological research program, does some really bad things that are related to the mob. And they're like, we got to find this guy and we're going to, tear him to pieces. And meanwhile, that psychopath, if you will, who busted out with an eternal heart on, by the way, it's like he's got priapism 24/7.
If your erection lasts
he's
longer than
hallucinating
this
off this
novel.
guy. He's basically screwing and killing everything in his path on the hottest day in summer in Chicago. So this detective, one of his informant types, gets killed by this guy on the same day. So you got basically the mob and this detective racing to find this guy. Meanwhile, this guy Derek Kaufman, who's that gigantic muscle bound
Psycho Man.
guy who busts out that human guinea pig program, he's out there doing horrible, horrible, horrible things. And they're trying to find him. And they all meet up towards the end. And I'll leave it at that.
I was
But
going to say, you got to
if you look at this cover, which, by the way, was done by one of my favorite artists, Italian artist, Roberto Ferri. He's based in Rome. He's like a modern Caravaggio. So I've got a few of his paintings, and he's done stuff like he did Pope Francis. He did a portrait of Pope Francis for the Vatican, but he does this really dark shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's like beautiful Caravaggio-ish classical romanticism mixed with, a little bit of twisted.
There's some darkness there. Yeah.
So I don't own this painting, but this painting, I probably mispronounce it. I call it Acate, whatever in Italian they could say. Icate, I don't know, but it's such a great painting. And if you look at the cover, the one thing I wanted to show you guys and your viewers and everyone is that really sums up what happens in Wretch.
That's
almost like
that's the book.
Beauty
Yeah.
and the Beast,
Yeah.
That's like Derek Kaufman. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like the karma that's going to be coming for him
Yeah.
in the end. We had to alter the cover because certain retailers got a problem with breasts and nipples for whatever reason.
Sure.
The original artwork, her hair is like that short, and she
Yeah.
has a breast here.
Yeah, you gotta make
I
it.
kind of dug my heels in because I hate censorship. Being a band, I always hated parental advisory stickers. But then it turns out parental advisory stickers almost make kids want to get it more.
I was gonna say that's what
That
sells the
shit,
record.
I just hate covering artwork up,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Is the original, because you're saying like this is not like you didn't ask someone to draw a bare-chested woman. You found an art piece and you said, this is the art piece.
yeah, exactly. Darius, when I saw it, I'm like,
you didn't want them to change the original art.
yeah. When I first saw it, I'm like, that embodies
Yeah.
what the hell is going on in Wretch. And I've always been, people say don't judge a book by its cover. I get it. There's great books out there with terrible covers, but for everything I put out, I always want like great cover art. And I want it to relate to the story. So that painting really checked off all the boxes. And Roberto Ferri was so cool. I'm like, I'll pay you if I could just license this for a book, and this is what the book will be in these formats, blah, blah, blah. Just let me know what you want. And he was like, I know, Jeremy, you would take it for free.
Oh,
you support me since day one. You use it for your
so
book.
sweet.
And I'm like, man, Roberto, you effing rule.
yeah,
And
that's awesome.
since the advanced reading copies came out, I don't know if you all got arcs from the publicity firm at all?
We
Well,
did not.
okay. You should, or even a PDF. If you want one, just let me know after the show. I'll make sure you're hooked up. But everyone who's gotten the book, Reg, um, they thankfully so far the reviews have been great because I figured this thing's so over the top. People are gonna be like, "Holy shit, what are you doing?" Telling my publicist, "What are you sending me?" But it actually, I've been pleasantly surprised. I got that attitude of I don't get my hopes up, so I'm never disappointed. I write for myself, but you want people to be into your stuff.
Yeah.
And I was really just happy with that. But the cover artwork gets a lot of notes in reviews and
Well, I
stuff.
would say
Yeah.
it does not
This is the help.
surprise me hearing your story and how you have your foot in kind of like all these different disciplines, right? With music and writing and different styles of writing. It does not surprise me at all that like your book cover is like super sick, like that it fits and it has this a unique like cool vibe to it. Like, does not shock me that your book covers are cool and not just like a lame like I don't know, you put out. I independently publish stuff, and so I see, I try to pay attention to trends, and then you're just like, oh, that person is putting a book out just to hit the trend, right? You're like, that's not a good cover.
Yeah.
You're just trying to like check a box off, like
Right. But like what you're saying, Jesse, quality is paramount. And the way I also look at things, just from what I want to deliver, I always want to deliver good quality. And as a fan too, it means a lot. And books and albums too are what I consider immortal. Once they're out there, published and released, they're eternal. And when you look at a record cover, sick cover art like draws your attention right away, and it sticks in your head. Like if you're an Iron Maiden fan growing up, like those covers are really like badass.
Well, I was gonna say this is obviously it's a cartoon version of it, but that your cover draws immediately to mind Dio's cover of the demon like choking out the priest.
Right.
It was just like when I saw your cover, I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of Dio.
Yeah. I want something that's high quality, and knowing that it's going to be around a while, I want to make sure it better look damn good. Whether it's a book or an album, I just want to make sure it looks great.
I think that's a pretty solid business model. It better look damn good. Like just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my headstone.
Well, you can.
It's gonna be my epitaph.
Yeah.
Speaking of artists, I had a quick question, Darius. That Captain America.
I think that it's a Kirby. I can't remember.
Is that Jack Kirby?
I think it is.
He passed away, I think, right?
I didn't realize that.
I read that. I think he passed away not long ago.
I didn't realize. It definitely looks Kirby-esque.
I swear it was Jack Kirby.
It's got that big original squared off chin.
Yeah.
And that forward action. Yeah.
I think we were talking about this.
It's like music. I was saying, you see a Kirby or another artist, you're like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
I appreciate you noticing, dude. Yeah, I'm a big Cap fan. Jack Kirby. Cool. Without Jack Kirby, there's no Captain America. He iconicized Cap. Yeah,
I've got a compendium omnibus of a Jack Kirby comic.
That's
Devil
awesome.
Dinosaur. Do you remember Devil Dinosaur?
Yeah.
Really, I like that. But he was great with everything. He
was, yeah.
Superhero stuff, everything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we gotta wrap it up here. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. This was incredible.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on Friday the 13th of all days, too.
I know. It was nice and fitting. Unfortunately, we'll be releasing this on Monday the 16th, which is not nearly as cool, but
but we'll tell everyone.
This was recorded under the veil of darkness on that day that's unspeakable amongst all deities.
If you're listening to this, go check out Jeremy Wagner's work. We'll put his stuff in the description. New book, Wretch, coming out in just a few days after this is done, or as it's recorded. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all the stuff. New Way Stories. We'll catch you guys next week.